Ho ho! Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing Weapons, directed by Zack Cregger and stars Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong, and Alden Ehrenreich. I still haven't gotten that name right. This film is about 17 kids that all of a sudden run out into the woods at 2:17 a.m. and just disappear into thin air, causing a lot of people in this neighborhood to be concerned and wondering where their kids are. And some of those people are questioning some of the main characters because they believe that some of them are responsible for their disappearance. This is coming to us from the director of the 2022 horror film Barbarian, which I didn't get a chance to review, but I did watch, and it is a really good horror movie that felt very different and something that we haven't seen before. I remember watching Barbarian and being in shock of what was happening in that film and what they were setting up, and what they later revealed in that film made that film a lot more dark and twisted. And that is exactly what Weapons is. It is a dark and twisted horror movie, and I loved it. It is so far one of my favorite movies of 2025. Now, this movie does something different with its story, meaning that it takes some of the characters one by one in certain chapters where you get to focus on each character as the film progresses. Now, most of these characters may seem unlikable when you start to get to know them, but as the film progresses, you start to see why they are interested in trying to help these kids and what makes them more compelling later on. And the acting is really solid here. I like Julia Garner in this film. She plays a school teacher that's going through a lot of backlash because they think that she's responsible for the kids disappearing because all of those kids that disappeared were in her classroom. So she's going through a lot of controversy and hate because they think that she's the one that caused them to disappear. And Julia Garner is really good here, and she has been appearing in a lot of stuff recently. Like, we just saw her in Fantastic Four First Steps, now this film, and even though Wolfman wasn't the greatest, she was still really good in that film. I haven't gotten to Ozark yet, but I am thinking of watching it at some point because I've heard a lot of good things about that. And Josh Brolin gives one of his best performances, his range, and he does have some emotional moments once you get to see more of him. And the rest of the acting is pretty solid as well. Like, Benedict Wong is great, and Alden Ehrenreich, I'm sorry if I'm getting that name wrong. And if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, then you know that I'm guilty of mispronouncing names. And once the characters learn more about what's going on as the film progresses, the film becomes more dark and terrifying, where you get to learn more about why these kids ran off into the night and just disappeared into thin air. And it would get you confused as well, because throughout the film you get some images and creepy moments that would give you questions that you would want answered later on. And when you get those answers in the second half of the film, that just makes the film feel more creepy, and you get to see some more disturbing moments that are revealed. And we really don't get movies like this anymore, where they would just give us questions that we want answered and we want to stay for the rest of the film because we want those answers. Because most films just want to use some exposition and just explain some things just so that the audience doesn't feel confused about what's going on, but not in the case of this film. Because this film gives you questions that you want answered, and you want to stay for the rest of the film just to get those answers, and that's a great thing because less is more. And that's one of the things that I love, not just with horror movies, but with movies in general, where they give you questions that you want answered and you want to learn more about them later on. You don't want to have them answered right off the bat. And once I was seeing more stuff unravel and learning more about what's going on, I was in shock, and I haven't had that feeling with a film in a long time. And it would make the film feel completely different in the second half once you get more of those questions answered, and it could feel jarring for some people because it would make them feel like they are watching a different movie, where I really don't agree with that, because this movie does leave some hints and clues that are supposed to set up that big reveal, and once you get to that reveal, those moments make sense and makes that whole twist in the second half make sense. And now we get to the finale, which, no spoilers, but all I'll say is This is the most crazy and terrifying finale I have ever seen in a horror movie so far this year. There's a lot of stuff happening in this finale, like a lot of screaming and blood and jump scares, and there's a lot of that, and that made a great finale. I actually had to walk around a little and think about the film while the credits were playing, and I haven't had that with a film in a while. And that's another thing that I love about this film, where it just makes you sit down and process what you saw, what certain elements are supposed to mean, and what that whole finale is supposed to mean. And we haven't had that in the film in a while. As for issues, there are some plot holes that are left unanswered, there are some character arcs that aren't fully resolved, and there's a character that narrates the film from the beginning and to the end, where we don't get to see that character at all for some reason. We get the idea that that character experienced a lot of crazy stuff that happens in this film, but we never once see this character in person, which kind of makes it strange that they would make a character that we never see throughout the film be the narrator for the beginning and the end of the film. Weapons is another great movie from Zack Cregger. It has an engaging and interesting story. It had characters, while flawed, but still kept me interested. It felt different and original. It had a twist halfway in that made sense, and a crazy finale that makes it all worth it. If you are a horror fan and you loved Barbarian, I do recommend watching this film, and if you want to see some more original stuff, then go watch Weapons. I strongly recommend watching it if you haven't yet. It is definitely worth watching in theaters, and it's going to be one of those films where both filmmakers and film fans are just going to analyze the hell out of it. I'm going to give Weapons an A. So guys, if you have seen Weapons, what do you think about it? Do you think it's a great horror film, or do you think it's overrated and doesn't deserve any attention? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.